Ready?
I don't have
Okay.
any word.
Go ahead.
Well, mine's gonna do that too, saying it's happening.
Good evening and welcome to the regular board meeting, September 11th, 2025, the Dry Creek Joint Elementary School District. I'd like the record reflect that all board members that are present with the exception of Jean Pagnoni, which I expect she will be here soon. At this time, we're open for public comment on the closed session agenda. Hearing no comments.
We have none.
Hearing none, we will close public comment and adjourn to closed session. Good evening, we're reconvening for the September 11th, 2025 regular board meeting of the Dry Creek Joint Elementary School District. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have nothing to report from closed session. And so, do we have any public comments that are not on the agenda?
Yes, we have one this evening.
Okay.
It'll be Corey Fogel.
Welcome, Corey. Good to see
Take a
you.
longer walk to get up here. Alright, so good evening. I just wanted to update on some Creekview Ranch activities and fun things that have been going on. But first, I just got back from a cross-country meet over at Springview, and I wanted to say that Dry Creek was very well represented by Silverado and Creekview Ranch. Hundreds of students, respectful, athletics. I mean, it was just amazing to see Dry Creek represented by Silverado and Creekview Ranch. Phenomenal athletes representing our district very well, so shout out to them. For Creekview Ranch, a couple things I wanted to update you on. Graphic design class in middle school. We are appreciative of the opportunity to have another year of graphic design. Lots of students coming out for our zero period, 7 a.m. in the morning. Middle schoolers getting up and get to school by 7 a.m., a feat in itself. This year we're helping support our new student store with custom-made candy bars, 3D printed materials and swag and t-shirts. So we're really stepping up our graphic design class. The students are learning a ton, super creative. Always invite you guys to come and observe what our students are doing and representing our school in a fun and creative way. And then finally, I have some invitations for you for next month. At the end of the trimester, our computer science class is going to be putting together the first ever, never before done, so, you know, you just aware of that. We've never done this before, but my students wanted to do a big arcade and casino style games, all programmed by them, built by them, designed, and it's a fun day, fun couple of days that they're gonna be proud to showcase their computer skills, the engineering and the programming that they're doing is top tier. And so I'm very proud to offer these kind of classes for our middle school students to get them ready for the high school, to be able to go into careers and pathways that are just amazing opportunities that we can offer. So I always, again, encourage our board and our administration to please support these kind of programs with graphic design, fine arts, music, programming, coding, and drama. All those things really help our students become much better high schoolers and beyond. So we do appreciate all of your efforts and focus on our students and their successes. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
I just realized I forgot to put the room number on here, so that's why it's handwritten. I'm usually better at that, but.
Clock's working.
Thank you.
Thanks, Corey.
Okay, we're gonna move on in our new agenda format to comments from, let's go from the executive leadership first, and then the comments from the board. So we'll start with Sarah Wegner.
Good evening. I just wanted to invite everyone to our professional development day on Monday. If you'd like to attend, Shay and her staff would be happy to send you the agenda. It's a little complicated because there'll be a lot of moving parts and people at many campuses, but we'd love to have you join us if you'd like.
Thanks. Jim?
All right, just following up with that, on your, at your table, you should have a agenda for our classified professional development day, which is happening on Monday as well. And a big shout out to Desiree Stevenson and her team and her collaboration with our labor partners who actually work together to put a conference style day together with a comprehensive list of different workshops that they could choose from. And most people don't really notice, but there's just countless hours that go into building a day like this. And especially with our classified folks, that we have over 30 different job classifications. So trying to do things meaningful for each group is really an endeavor. So again, we would invite you, if you'd like to stop by, please stop on by. It should be a great day. And then sticking with HR, since we last met, we've also brought on 16 new substitute teachers. So we're continually to try to build our staff in that way to help support when we have a need for fill-in employees. So we continue to do that. And then in transportation, we did take delivery of 2 new electric buses. Now we total 10 in the fleet with minimal out-of-pocket, getting grants and whatnot to get these buses. And in 3 of these buses now, we have Wi-Fi. So we've enabled Wi-Fi on 3 of the buses, and we'll be working on certain protocols on how that's gonna be used. But primarily, if the board remembers, we wanted to put Wi-Fi in buses in the case that we did have an event where we had to have a mobile command center, especially for, if something, bad were to happen at a school site where we had to get people and equipment, and we would use our buses to do that, and then we'd have Wi-Fi capabilities to be able to use our devices and whatnot, send messages, check out students, things like that. But we also want the students to be able to use it too, so we'll be working on that and coming up with protocols. We can see that if there was a long field trip that a class was going on, how a teacher might be able to use that connectivity to actually do things on the bus, in the form of, looking online searches or games or whatever they wanna do to enhance their trip, so.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Quick question, what is the range of these buses about? How far can they go without a charge, do you know?
They could go, the larger ones, they can go about 120 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, so we plan on taking these electric buses up to our Coloma trips, cause there are places to charge not far away.
Okay,
So they can actually go and charge, or they can actually come back, so they have the range to be able to be useful.
do field trips and stuff,
Yes.
cool. Christie,
I don't have much to add, I don't have anything to invite anybody to, except for we are starting our financial audit for the year next week, so if you wanna come to that, that's always fun. And I think my presentation got a little bit shorter because I was gonna talk about the grants for the school buses, so there you go. So no, I think everything's been good, our team is fully staffed, we're super excited about the classified PD day. Thank you, Desiree, for putting that together because it's always so important for our classified staff that don't necessarily get those kind of opportunities. So looking at the agenda, it's extremely meaningful to a lot of them, so we're just grateful to be part of that.
thank you so much, yeah, appreciate it. So now we're gonna go on to comments from the board, Tracy,
I have no comments.
Jean?
Well, today's September 11th. And this is just to get serious for a moment, but between yesterday and today, I don't know about you, but for me, it's been a time of remembrance and mourning. Because when you reflect on September 11th, everybody knows where they were that day. And I think everybody vividly remembers what they were doing that day. Because that was the day that those towers fell in New York and that city was brought to its knees. And when we think about 9/11, at least when I do, I think about, it still breaks my heart. It's still a time of sorrow. But I also remember how the whole country came together and we mourned together. And I think after yesterday's assassination of Charlie Kirk, this is my reflection, is just I've been a little discouraged by what I've been reading and what I've been seeing and the ugliness that has been out there. Part of me just sees that there is a moral deadening taking place in our country. And I would love for us to come back from that and to somehow put our differences together and remember that his legacy was about civil discourse and the need to respect other people's opinions. And after yesterday and today, my hope is that somehow we can put aside our differences and unite again, and stop dehumanizing people. And I think the final thing I wanna say about it is that I just, like so many other people, I am in mourning with his family and I am for his wife and his children, and that my thoughts and prayers are with them.
Thanks. Jason?
Yeah, I'd like to echo a lot of what Jean said in that as I'm still disturbed by both the events that took place in Utah and in the Evergreen High School in Colorado. Being a school district, being in a school district, having kids in a school district, that is my worst nightmare. Being unable to speak freely without threat of violent reprisal. That is also one of my worst nightmares, and I think it underscores the need for, as Charlie has said in many of his videos and as Jean just mentioned, that the need for civil discourse. And in this boardroom, it needs to start with us, and it needs to permeate throughout the district, because we need to model these behaviors for our students, our children, so that events like yesterday and all the other craziness that's been going on around our country don't continue to repeat themselves. We need to look at the root cause of the problem, and it's gonna require mature minds to think through this very deeply and thoughtfully. But in the meantime, I would like to extend our thanks on behalf of the board to Placer County Sheriff's Office for looking out for us. I would like to thank all our teachers, our site administrators, all the people that go in knowing that, you know, tragedy could happen and they still go in, they do their jobs well, and they take good care of our kids. So as negative as this week has been, I would like to see us find ways to make it positive and not let evil win.
Ryan?
Yeah, not much more I can add to that. I do wanna say on just a lighter note for where we're at in the school year, just it seems like things are off and running smoothly, and appreciate the communication team doing such a good job of capturing the moments. I see a lot of our admins wearing neon colors today, and so I know it was a spicy, fun day on campus hopefully for many of you. I know you all put your back into it all the time for the students, and they're very appreciative of your energy and enthusiasm, and it's cool to see through some of the videos that are shared, just, you know, how much you guys do with the creativity, and it makes you feel good to have kids in the district, and knowing that you all care, and you probably had spouses who were worried about you all today as you headed to, work in these uncertain times, and teachers, I'm sure, even tonight, just having a law enforcement presence here is reassuring, and so we want to communicate to you all, we care about your safety and the way you put yourself in the front lines, and thank you for your faithfulness and courage in doing that even when it's hard and when it's scary. And so you all lead by example, and I think that inspires a lot of courage for the other people as well who have uncertainty in these crazy times. So hopefully we can keep public school a place, that honors all the good things about America, the things we enjoyed growing up, and for myself in the 80s and 90s, and just want our kids to have fun and enjoy school and be free from the concerns and the burdens of a lot of the stuff that's swirling around in this world today. So I think that's a common purpose we have here, and this is a family here at Dry Creek Elementary School District. So just be vigilant, take care of yourselves, and watch out for each other. So we very much appreciate all of you, and our special law enforcement officer who's here even tonight. So thank you for your presence and for keeping an eye on everybody.
Yeah, I wanna echo the thanks to the law enforcement being here. I'm glad you're here. I'm also sad that there was a need for you to be here. And it's been a tough couple of days, and I just really believe love is stronger than hate, and we just have to keep that in our hearts and our spirit. Thanks. Cliff?
Thanks, John. Well, to kind of echo and add to the somber tone of the start of our meeting, I want to acknowledge, today's September 11th, and as Jean had said, I couldn't help but think of where I was 24 years ago. So it's one of those things, I can't believe it's almost been 25 years. But as Jean had said, I also thought about how we put aside a lot of our differences as a country and seem to rally together and come together. So I know our society can do it. I know that's something we can do. So I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful that we can see that from our society following what happened yesterday as well. I did also want to just honor and recognize we had a staff member pass away between the last board meeting and this. Silverado, one of our office clerks, Teresa Bull. I think she was a 24-year Bright Creek employee, beloved. It was a unexpected sudden passing, and just wanted to give kudos to Rich Knox and his staff. They had a rally scheduled for the next day, which they canceled and pivoted and turned it into a memorial. And our communications team was there to capture that as well and put together a touching video that I think they're gonna use at her memorial on Monday, is that right? Or that was just internally for the staff, I think, but she is having a memorial on Monday that Rich is gonna be at. So that's never something you think when you go into administration, school and training, how to deal with an employee passing, especially a sudden passing. So just kudos to them and their staff, and Teresa's family has been very appreciative of how the school has treated it and how they invited and included them. So just wanted to recognize her for her years of service to the district, and the site for the goodness that they did to honor her. And then I didn't think yesterday when I first heard about what happened in Utah, I didn't follow Charlie Kirk. I had seen a video here or there through social media. My wife apparently had followed it a little bit more and was a little more connected. But I have friends, so I went to college in that town in Utah at a different university. My wife attended that university. My cousin's husband's a professor at that university. So it's hit me more than I thought it would, having no direct connection. I wasn't there, my kids don't attend that school. But just knowing that community, knowing the town, having family who live in Utah, and regardless of where it happened, just utterly in disbelief that our society, yes, we have political divisions, just shocked to see that that this is happening in our country, that folks are committing political violence. So again, just in disbelief and hoping for the best for his family going forward, and every one of those kids who was there present. Obviously no one would wish that upon anyone, especially young impressionable people who probably never forget yesterday. So just wanted to also mention that. On a more positive note, September this month is Attendance Awareness Month, so as Ryan mentioned, we got our dress up days this week. We did have a pajama day earlier this week. No one here dressed up in pajamas. We did have.
I didn't know about it.
We did have a couple folks that brought some robes and put them over their normal work clothes, but
Pajamas.
But it's been a great kind of week to kick off attendance, and I know the board's aware of our ADA rate, and most districts have struggled totally recouping attendance post-COVID, so wanted to start the year off right and celebrate and honor and kind of get kids excited about being at school, and if dress-up days help them do that, then that's great. Just a little prelude for next month, so next month is gonna be Bullying Prevention Month. So we're kind of starting off the year with these awareness campaigns, so you're gonna see more about that coming up. For the public to know, the board and the executive leadership team, we started our governance and leadership coaching since our last meeting, so I think we've all had our first initial phone call with our coaches and consultants. We will be scheduling a special board meeting at the end of October for our in-person workshop. We're gonna be working on developing new board goals. So I'm excited for that work. And just wanted to thank everyone for participating in that. We did, this week, we got our first look at our student assessment data from last year. We have a guy that we work with who is able to take our raw data and kind of make his own dashboard. So although that won't come out until later, it was great to at least get a first look at how our students are doing, and wanted to acknowledge and say happy birthday to Sean Schondelmeyer. Tomorrow is his birthday. He's turning 45. He still skis and loves it. And then just new hires, we had a couple new hires here at the DEC, so we have 2 new district office secretaries in special ed and education services, and a new payroll tech, so we were able to finally fill Sarah's seat. So I know payroll is happy that they're fully staffed now, so. And that's my report. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Cliff. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda, there's no comments. Do any board trustees care to pull an item from the consent agenda for individual consideration?
I had a few questions about item 6.9.
Okay, let's pull 6.9. I'd like to pull 6.4. Any other items? Let's see, 6.9 and 6.4. Let's do 6.4 at first, that's okay, Tracy.
Of course, it goes in the numerical.
6.4, any other items? So I'll make a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda with the exception of 6.4 and 6.9.
Second.
Motion by John, second by Jason, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Let's take a look at 6.4. And that's the one I pulled, right? That's the one, transitional kindergarten. Board policy 6142.93, science instruction. If I could read a section of that real quick. I have an issue with, this is for transitional kindergartners. I have an issue with including climate change, the climate change hyperbole, that kind of things to transitional kindergartners. Several reasons. There's a lot of anxiety about climate change. Also, I question the scientific validity of a lot of the experts, when these so-called experts on climate change. I just don't think it's appropriate for transitional kindergartners. So I'd like to strike a sentence, I guess the first sentence at the top.
John, if I could just interrupt you for a second.
Yeah.
There's 2 different policies. There's transitional kindergarten and then a separate science policy. The science policy, that's a state law that we had to include that in the curriculum. So there's 2 different policies there.
Oh. So what can we do about that policy, the science policy?
Well, it's a state law that we have to include that in the curriculum now.
So there's nothing we can do about it?
So, I mean, you could not put it in there, but we still have to follow the law.
Okay.
I mean, basically.
Yeah, okay, my mistake, excuse me.
But to John's question, is there a way we can, how would we look at the elements of that instructional material and just kind of see what is being taught and how and whatnot?
You would like a presentation on what's being taught in that area?
That's being demanded per state law. What are they asking us to teach? What are they asking us to convey essentially? What message are they looking to?
We can bring that back.
Just out of curiosity, when something like this happens, is this similar like the sex ed curriculum thing we talked about before, where they're adding it in and now we have to add stuff to our curriculum eventually?
Right.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks, state government.
So why
It's
is,
super
why,
easy then.
why would this be in here anyway, because we don't really have a choice about it's gonna be in the curriculum no matter what. I guess it's gonna be in the board policy or not, which doesn't really affect anything because it's in the curriculum.
Honestly, just like any of these policies, so whether the policy says that in the policy or not,
It's in the curriculum.
it's in the state law or the ed code, so we would still have to follow the ed code. So with any of these policies with updates, like suicide prevention, say, if there's a change in the law for the suicide prevention notifications and things like that, even if we weren't to update the policy with the current law, you still have to follow the current law. So, I mean, I don't wanna say it doesn't matter what's in the policy, but in this regard, like, if we were backed up and we didn't get these policies updated in a very timely manner, we would still be obligated to follow whatever the current ed code is.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Does that make sense? So the question is, do we wanna change the policy even though it's not gonna make any real difference to the students?
Well,
That's what I'm.
so we will have to bring our current curriculum into conformity with this when we do upgrade our current curriculum in the classrooms, correct?
There has to be, yes, some kind of a lesson added.
Yeah,
Yes.
Cause either
That would
the
meet the
curriculum folks
criteria.
are aligning their stuff by adding new additions and
Right.
incorporating this new required material in,
Right.
or we could supplement it and get by kind of as a Band-Aid.
Right.
So what I'm hearing is this language has to be added to the policy either way, but if we have concerns about how that's implemented, we can address that at that time.
Yes, we
Address
could,
it
yes,
curriculum.
Shay and her team would address that, right?
Thank you. I'll move to approve the updated language.
I don't know, I don't feel like voting for it, honestly. I don't really, so what, it doesn't make any difference, I'm not gonna vote for approving it, but you could.
I think because we have I think how we, just like many things here, how we interpret and approach this as the curriculum rolls out, that will be something we can cross, we can give board direction about like what Sarah said for special presentation about this matter, et cetera. In terms of bringing it in conformity with California's state law, I mean, I don't see how we can not do that, so.
So I will move to approve item 6.4,
I'll second.
and then we can come back to how that's implemented later.
Sounds good, Jason. We have a motion by Jason, a second by Tracy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
No.
Motion passes 3-2. Okay, let's go to 6.9.
Yes, so this is the memorandum of understanding with the Placer County Office of Education for the induction program for our administrators.
Yes.
And so I just had a quick question. I understand the program, I know all of our administrators, after receiving their teaching credential, they also go on to get a preliminary administrative credential. Once they get their first administrative job, they're required to enroll in a clear administrative credential program for
Right.
2 years. I was curious about the number of participants we have in the program. In addition to that, are our participants using in-house coaching or Placer County Office of Education coaches? And then finally, does the district support our administrators in the induction program financially?
Yes. We have internal coaches, so Shay and I do the leadership coaching for CASC. We feel that it's important to do that. Sometimes the coaches provided through Placer County, while qualified and things like that, they don't know our district well and or maybe retired or out of service for a certain amount of time. And so we just felt that it was important to support within in order to help them know the district and policies and things like that very clearly. And then, yes, we pay for just like the induction for teachers, we pay for the induction part. We don't pay for if they need to take classes or courses through the PCOE credential program, but we do the induction part of it. So we don't pay for coaching because we're already here. But we do have to pay for the actual induction program. And that is directly to Placer County. They're the representation and cleared through the state to provide that program.
So I'll just add, so, up until, I think 2 years ago, whether or not a district paid for that on behalf of administrators or whether they paid for that on behalf of teachers going through induction was up to each district, so it was a perk, it was something to attract folks. 2 years ago, the state came out and said any district that receives educator effectiveness funds should use that to pay for it. So a lot of, some districts did like half and half with people, so some people got reimbursements and the district had to pick up the full cost, so I think that was while those funds existed, I don't know.
And Title II as well,
And Title II, so.
which is for professional development for admin and or teachers. So that's how we pay for the teacher one, is through the Title II.
Yeah, so they kind of like forced it on all the districts who weren't already covering it, so.
And we have 6 right now.
Okay. Thank you so much for the clarification on that. I'm a huge supporter of the induction program. Mr. Ferguson and I will remember that we had to do our tier 2 coaching program, no, our tier 2 admin program at a university during the work day. And we were taught by administrators, by staff who had never been in a public school and had never served schools over larger than 80. So the CTC switched to a coaching program, which provided administrators and teachers with the opportunity to meet one-on-one and reflect on their practice. And so I'm very delighted that Dry Creek has used those funds for that reason, and that they're supporting teachers and administrators through the induction. So I just had a few clarifying questions.
Any further discussion? Hearing none.
I'd like to move that we pass the resolution,
6.9.
6.9.
I'll second it. Motion by Tracy, second by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, moving on, we have an action item, Resolution 2025-02, Middle School Authorizations by Desiree Stevenson, Director of Human Resources.
Yes, good evening, board. So tonight I bring forward our middle school credential authorizations. This is a routine item that is brought forth annually in accordance with the Commission on Teachers Credentialing so that we can stay in compliance with all credential and monitoring. The district is required to certify that all teachers working in the district have proper credential authorizations. However, really our exploratory classes aren't necessarily something that has an individual credential. For example, what Corey talked about tonight, some of those classes, or classes like Farm to Fork. So obviously there's not a credential that you get for that. So this bridges those teachers who are already highly qualified and allows them to teach a little bit outside of their credential, knowing that they are qualified to do so.
Great. Any discussion, questions?
Just to,
I believe it's roll call vote. What? Go ahead.
I appreciate the work that the HR department has gone through looking at all of these courses. It takes a lot of time and energy on a middle school campus to find teachers and staff that are appropriately credentialed and to meet the needs of students. The students are changing. They want classes that are a little bit different from the ones that were offered 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And so to look at that list of what we're looking to qualify teachers in, there's so much creativity in all the Project Lead the Way classes, in the technology classes, and some of the graphic design and classes. So I was just really pleased to see that that much creativity is happening in our district and innovation, and grateful to the staff who spent the time making sure that we could provide offerings for students and for staff that stepped up and were willing to take that. So kudos to everyone for making sure that we have legally qualified teachers for those great subjects.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome to have all those classes. I wish I had that.
Yes, and we get very creative in finding
That's
ways
cool.
to bridge them into those assignments. So yes, huge shout out to my team. Thank you, Tracy.
Thanks, Desiree. Okay, we're gonna do a roll call vote. It's a little different. We're gonna do a new procedure where Sarah will call out the names. So we don't have a specific order of names.
I need someone to make a motion.
Oh, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item 7.1.
Tracy second. Motion by Jason, second by Tracy.
Okay, great. And then trustee Balcom, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay. President Pinsky,
Aye.
Trustee Pagnoni,
Aye.
Trustee Walker,
Aye.
Trustee Haynes.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Moving on to another resolution, number 2025-03, opposition of Proposition 50. Do we have, or I guess first we'll present it, and then we have any questions, and then we'll see if there's public comment on it, and we'll have deliberation. Okay, I don't know, Jean, do you have anything you want to say?
I don't have much to say about it other than it is about opposing California's Proposition 50 and calling for the full school funding as required by Prop 98. This whole redistricting plan is something that we should oppose. To even put this on the ballot for legislature and to violate the California Constitution. And I think it is important for us to make a statement on this.
Any questions from the board? Any public comment?
Yes, we have one this evening.
Okay.
Carolyn Brown.
Good evening, Carolyn. Good evening.
I'm here tonight to state my strong opposition to this resolution. Let's be clear, Proposition 50 has absolutely nothing to do with school funding. Our schools are funded through Proposition 98, the local control funding formula, and the state budget process. Those are the mechanisms that determine whether classrooms get the resources they need, not a redistricting measure like Proposition 50. Yet this board is trying to convince the public that Proposition 50 threatens education by citing budget delays and reductions in Prop 98 obligations. That is simply not true. The challenges stem from the state budget decisions and the economy, not Proposition 50. Redistricting rules don't set education budgets, don't allocate dollars to classrooms, and don't decide when the state meets its constitutional obligations to schools. The resolution also claims that dividing Placer County schools among multiple congressional representatives will weaken advocacy and strain administrators. But the truth is, the more representatives can actually increase opportunities for advocacy. Multiple voices in Congress can mean broader support and more avenues to fight for resources. And let's be honest, what really strains administrators isn't redistricting, it's budget cuts, unfunded mandates, and boards that spend their time on politics instead of supporting schools. To suggest otherwise is misleading. At best, it reflects serious misunderstandings of education, finance, and governance. At worst, it's a deliberate attempt to use our students as political props. Either way, it undermines trust in this board. And this gets to the bigger issue. This board continues to use its platform to push political agendas far outside its responsibilities. Trustees are elected to oversee curriculum, support teachers, ensure fiscal accountability, and improve student outcomes. Parents and teachers expect you to focus on literacy, math proficiency, classroom resources, and the real work of student achievement, not partisan resolutions about ballot measures that have nothing to do with education. Every time you pass a resolution like this, you waste time, distract from real issues, and send a loud, clear message that politics come first while students come second. That is unacceptable. I urge this board to stop misleading the public, stop chasing political fights, and get back to the work you were elected to do, strengthening our classrooms, supporting our teachers, and rebuilding trust with this community.
Thanks, Carolyn. Let's open it up to discussion.
Well, I am just gonna state that it is possible to do two things at once, which is focus on the things that are important in our district, which we have been doing, as well as taking a position on a resolution. When you have the California Teachers Association PAC contributing $3 million to this, they've already made it political, the California Teachers Association. So they're involved with it. They're taking money that could be used for something else. You talk about educational funding, you're right, we've got Prop 98, but that doesn't have all the funds, there's a shortfall there. And when you're gonna take money from taxpayers violating the California Constitution. It is our responsibility to stand up and to make a statement against it. This is a resolution, it's not like it's anything other than that. But to spend $200 million on a special election that is completely unnecessary when voters have already spoken is wrong.
Yeah, it is a waste of money, and it is a violation of the Constitution. We had I think it was Proposition 11 in 2008, and so there's no transparency in the people drawing the districts. And when we took this office of trustee, we did take an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and the state of California. I have problems with, I know the Placer County Office of Education, they prefer to have just one representative to work with, not 3 different ones within Placer County. I feel also part of this resolution also talks about encouraging the funding of schools and not spending money on other things that I actually don't even know if this proposition will pass, and I'm not sure it will benefit the governor the way he thinks it will benefit him anyway, regardless if it does pass. I just think and then you see the $100 million lost or whatever, and the people, you know, and the homes in Southern California, the fires that burned down. It just seems like an incredible waste of money. And I think it's good and proper for the school district or the board of trustees to actually look out at the budget that the state has and the money being spent and seeing waste where it's waste and encouraging that money to be spent more efficiently, which is meeting their Proposition 90 obligations for one.
I would also add that this is not a partisan issue, despite what some people want to make this out to be. And I also take offense at the suggestion that any of us are using students as political props.
So I can actually understand some of the concerns that are presented and that this resolution is meant to address. We just had a lengthy undertaking with the CVRA to break our district up into district areas. And we had to work very hard to avoid gerrymandering issues and keep everything sensible and fair. And something like, you know, from what I know about Prop 50 looks to undermine such a notion. Gene also brought up a valid point, consistency. If we have multiple representatives with conflicting objectives that, you know, districts in the city are falling under, we're gonna lose the consistency we have amongst Roseville schools that makes our schools superior in this state. And, you know, our local representative has advocated for us on many occasions. And I think it's important to continue supporting him and his efforts, and he's made some good strides that benefit everybody in this county, not just one group or another. So I think it does send a message to him that we appreciate his efforts, and it does impact us as a school district. I always try to look for a nexus when something like this comes up. How does this benefit the district? I'm not into politicking from the dais. I always want to focus on the district issues. And from what I've learned about Prop 50 and the messaging we're trying to send across, I do see a connection, and I'm inclined to oppose it as well. So that's my stance.
So that means support the resolution, oppose?
Oppose 50.
Yeah, got it. Any other comments, Ryan?
Just the language of the resolution to me seems pretty straightforward. I mean, I think the closing of it says, be it further resolved that this board urges the governor and legislature to maintain cohesive representation for Placer County school districts to ensure effective advocacy and continuity, which is what Jason was just saying, and then reinvest in classroom outcomes and student success rather than political projects. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I do think that this does affect schools, and so I do think it's proper for us to actually make a statement regarding this. Hey, Tracy, would you like to make any comment?
I'm not seeing the connection as clearly as my colleagues are. So I'm not in support of this resolution.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to support the resolution number 2025-03.
I'll second.
Motion by John, second by Jean. We're gonna do a roll call vote.
Roll call vote.
Sarah, can you talk really loudly,
Sorry.
if you don't mind?
Trustee Walker,
Aye.
trustee Pagnoni,
Aye.
trustee Malcolm,
No.
trustee Haynes,
Aye.
president Fenske.
Aye. Motion passes 4-1. And let's see, moving on to action item on audited actuals from Christina Blandford, our CBO. Oh, and Beth Parrish, Director of Fiscal Services.
Thank you. Oh, it's not.
I apologize. That can be
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Good evening. This presentation is going to be in regards to closing our books for the 24-25 school year and how that affects our 25-26 balances, sorry. This is just a summary presentation, the full financial packet is in the board agenda. And so the calculations are our final information that we have for closing of our revenues and expenditures for 24-25. This also lays the framework for the audit that I invited you to, that we start next week. And really, Beth and the rest of my team have already started on that. They start gathering a week or two before, and so they dump, 60 or 70 requests on us, and we feverishly go through and provide them all of our information about how we calculate our closing, how we calculate our LCFF, our transportation, all of those pieces. And so they go through with a fine tooth comb and make sure that we're in meeting compliance and that our math is good and all of that. So they wait for this to be finished, and so they'll start with us on Monday. Before we talk about some highlights for 24-25 actuals, I just wanna give you a quick update on, got a typo on it, the 25-26 enrollment. You don't really care last year. So the information on here is from 9/3, so last week, we were up 97 students over our projections. And then what I provided you tonight at your seat was as of yesterday, and we are 110 over our projections. So we're still down from last year's actuals, but we're definitely still growing. We still keep seeing kids come, which is great, hoping to fill all those seats. A little average class size information. Currently our TK to 3 is an average of 22.2. Grades 4 through 5 are at 29.3, and 6 through 8 is 31.5. So we'll jump into 24-25 actual revenue and income sources. We closed the books with $106.3 million worth of revenue. And of that, you can see on that large blue part of the chart is our LCFF sources, which is 73.4%. Together with our state, the other state, which is in that gray pie area, together those are $91.9 million of that 106 is all coming from state funding. 37% of our LCFF funding is coming from local property taxes. And on the federal side, we had $3.3 million, which part of that was one-time funds of $440,000 that were carried over from the prior year. But the majority of that, 2.9, is ongoing. So again, when we start talking about some of those planned drawdowns, that's kind of where that's coming from. And so you see it dropping, but a good portion of that is ongoing. And some of those include our Title I funds, special ed, as a host of federal sources, all together. Moving on to the gray that we kind of touched about, but part of that I want to just point out that again, there's some one-time funds carryover that had come from 23-24 into 24-25, and that was about $184,000. And so 13.7 of that is ongoing. So that includes all of our lottery money that we use for textbooks, and schools get a portion of. There's also our ELOP dollars, 4.6 million of that. And our arts and music in schools, about $28 the sites are getting to spend. So we had just under $1 million. Then our local yellow is our $10.8 million. Of that, $4 million is from our special ed SELPA. 1.7 was interest on the cash that we had in the bank. And 1.9 was for the bus grants that we got that Jim mentioned earlier to provide us with those beautiful shiny new electric buses. Okay, expenditures. So our expenditures for 24-25 were $101.3 million. And of that in the blue is our salaries and benefits, which was just over $79 million, which equates to about 78.2%. Our capital outlay up there in the orange was almost $5.4 million. Some exciting pieces out of that were new playgrounds. We spent about $1 million out of ELOP for new playgrounds. They are beautiful and kids seem very excited. There was also 1.6 on the modular expansions at Olive Grove and Antelope Crossing Middle School. You'll see some of those expenses coming into 25-26 since they weren't completed until just before school started, so we don't prepay them. So some of that will carry over a little bit. And then obviously our new buses, we spent about 1.8 on those. 2 of those buses just came in, so those were not in there yet. Moving on to our services in the darker blue, that's almost 9.4. I know folks tend to think services mean all contracted services, but there's a lot more that goes into those. So for instance, we have $1.5 million worth of utilities. We have our non-public agencies that support our special ed students. We have $1.3 million worth of insurance. And then we also have 1.8 worth of agreements, services provided for our ELOP program that we don't provide. So we get those funds and then we provide it to them so they can take care of our kiddos. We do use our ELOP funds on our students ourselves, but our after school programs and before are through 2 different organizations. Oh, that's really small. Sorry. This is just a summary of our financials. So you can see that we talked about our total revenues and then our expenditures. And then that changes what our beginning balances are for 25-26. So what you saw in the adopted budget and then also in the September state update I made, those numbers will have changed. So we estimate what we think the beginning balances are gonna be, and then the year ends and it finalizes, and then we know what our true balances are. And so those carry over and we change our beginning balances. We didn't update any other expenditures other than that, so you'll still see the 1.5 negative, that decrease in our revenue, or our fund balance. And again, that's our planned drawdown. So before I get too far into that one, I just wanna kind of point out that there, we've talked about before that there's 4% for economic uncertainties. We're required to have 3. The district is really good about making sure we have that reserve, so we have that 1 extra percent. We have a 2% for cash flow, and then we also have the unexpected needs line, which is calculated based on 200 per student, which helps us with different unknown circumstances and also to cover our declining enrollment because we are still declining. And so as those things start to catch up with us, that will help mitigate some of those transitions. Our ending fund balance, I just want to point out that our ending fund balance for 24-25 was about 54% of the current year expenses. So it would cover us for another half a year. Current 25-26, we're looking about 50-50. So it's about 50% of what we have budgeted in expenses so far. We'll bring back updated expense projections at first interim. Let's see, so some of the pieces, the planned drawdown includes some of our lottery money. As we have school site carryover and we have textbooks coming, We still have some of our learning and recovery emergency block grant funds. I don't have any of those listed up there, so I'm just kind of pointing out some of them. We also have some of our arts, music, and instructional materials discretionary block grant dollars left. And obviously we have ELP dollars that we're still spending and our supplemental funds. And so the reason that you see that negative is because those funds are carrying over from last year and we don't have to recognize that revenue. I kind of mentioned it last time, it's kind of like sitting in our savings account, so we already have it, we don't have to announce it again. This is just the kind of summary of what I just kind of went through. Some of the pieces of why we have the reserves that we have. You know, we want to focus on this year's kids, but we want to make sure that we are secure in our future as well. Another slide that I see that it's come multiple times, and so I wanted to kind of keep with that tradition, is some of the the underfunded programs from our state and federal sources. So special ed is always underfunded and throughout California, as well as our homeschool transportation. So you can see on this slide that we contributed about $9.3 million to the combined for those two programs, which is about 51% of the program. So last year, so in total of our general fund, it's 9.2%. So I will say it has gotten, I will say that's gotten better because last year it was 9.9%. And part of why that has gotten a little bit better is our county office SELPA methodology of funding special ed has changed a little bit. And so last year, we were contributing 53% of the program. This year we're down to 50%, so it's helped. Same with transportation in 22-23. We began getting funding, partial funding for eligible transportation expenses, and so that too has closed the gap a little bit. Transport, it didn't touch as much, especially because it's so much smaller. But it has helped, but we do still have that gap, and so we're always aware of that. We're always looking for funding sources. Part of our SELPA, they have a fund that we can reach out for extraordinary costs. So if we have a really expensive student placement, they will help us a little bit. So we're always mindful of that and watching for what ways we can look for funding or make sure our programs are running efficiently. Other funds. So all of our other funds are ending with a positive balance. Our Fund 8 is our student activity funds. They decreased by $7,000, which is great because that means the students are spending their money on themselves, and that's good. They still have a $141,000 balance. Fund 14 in that second column is deferred maintenance. That increase includes the transfer from the general fund, almost $126,000 worth of interest earnings. And the little negative in the expenses that you see, it was just from a prior year credit from a purchase order that crossed fiscal years. And so we got a little bit, $967 back. And Fund 17 is ending with a balance of $1.5 million. Fund 25 in the middle is our capital facilities. We brought in just around $1.1 million worth of developer fees this year and $799,000 worth of interest. That was primarily spent on Olive Grove and Amarillo Crossing expansion. And that balance that you see in there of $3.7 million will go to finish off those two projects as those bills are now coming in. And then we'll start planning and saving towards the Creekview expansion. Fund 40, let's see, it had $392,000 worth of interest. And then we also have unspent site funds that get moved over to provide future technology replacement at the school site level. The next two funds are our debt service for our GEO bonds and our Melrose bonds. Fund 51 is the debt service for our GEO bonds held with the Placer County Treasury. And that ending fund balance is $7.3 million. Fund 52 is our Melrose, and that's our debt service on our Melrose bonds and our funds held with the Sacramento County Treasury. And that ending balance, I believe, is $2.8 million. And lastly is our Fund 71, which is a fiduciary, that's a really hard one for me, fund with an ending balance of $128,000. And that's it. So with that, I recommend approving the 24-25 unaudited actuals. And we anticipate bringing our audit reports hopefully in November. I don't know how much that, but, and then December would be our first interim report.
Any questions? So when I look at 24-25, I mean, I see the big picture first. I see we had 106 million in revenues and 101 million in expenditures, so we had a 5 million surplus.
Yep.
Doesn't look quite as good this year.
Right.
But that's basically, kind of see the big picture of it outside of that. Okay, thank you.
Well, just appreciate your efforts to keep our reserves going and planning for the future, saving up for these projects. No one has a crystal ball, no one knows what's gonna happen economically in this state especially, but I appreciate you making lemonade with some of those lemons you're handing.
Well, I think she had some good lemonade to start.
I think so.
Roger.
Doing quite well, thank you.
Very well.
Yeah, thanks for keeping it going there.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the unaudited actuals.
I'll second it. Motion by Jason, second by John, and this is just a regular vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Let's see, under 7.4, we have a resolution 2025-04, adoption of the 2024-25 appropriations limit known as the GAN limit. Christina.
It's me again. Each year, school districts and other public agencies must certify they did not exceed a limit imposed on appropriations for each fiscal year. The limit, called the GAN limit, is calculated based on the 1978 to 79 and adjusts each year by the change in inflation and population growth. The attached resolution certifies that we have not exceeded that limit and that we are under, and that then goes on to the county and to the state. So I request the approval of that resolution, of the GAN limit resolution for 24-25.
Thanks, Christina. Comments, questions? I'll make a motion to approve the GAN limit and the 2025-04 resolution.
Second.
Motion by John, second by Ryan. This is another roll call vote.
Correct. Trustee Haynes,
Aye.
trustee Walker,
Aye.
President Fenske,
Aye.
trustee Belkam,
Aye.
trustee Pagnoni,
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. On our last action item, we have Jim Ferguson, Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services, on approval of school impact mitigation agreement between Dry Creek Joint Elementary School District and Lennar Homes of California.
Thank you. Yes, over the last 6 to 8 months, the district's been engaging with Lennar Homes of California for their development that is on North Antelope Road, kind of across from the junkyards and the railroad tracks over there off of North Antelope, 171 homes. And we've been engaging with them because of the impact that their development will have on our schools. And in lieu of paying for their impact fees at permit pool for each individual home, Lennar has agreed to pay a lump sum to the district for that equivalent amount, due no later to the district of March 30th, 2026. And if you go back to Christie's presentation and look at Fund 40, this will generate $1.1 million for the district, which we need to help with our capital facilities projects that we have planned. So I recommend the board approve this mitigation agreement with Lennar Homes.
Thanks, Jim. Any comments? Hearing none.
Jim, you've been very busy negotiating all of these contracts, so thank you for helping advocate for the district to the fullest extent that you can for the good of the kids. So I know you do a good job with it. I think you kind of like it actually, but you do a good job.
It is one of my favorite parts of my job.
Okay,
Sure.
Well, we appreciate it, and I would make a move to approve the school impact mitigation agreement with Lennar Homes.
I'll second that.
Motion by Ryan, second by Jean, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Let's see, we have now we're on to 8.1, public hearing, resolution 2025-01, public hearing statement of assurances, sufficiency of instructional materials, 2025-26, submitted by Sarah Wegner, Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services.
Right, annually, we are required to bring a statement of assurances that we have sufficient instructional materials for all students, including our English language learners, and we're to open a public hearing for this evening.
And I'll open the public hearing. Public hearing is open. Any comments? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed.
Thank you. I just wanted to send a special thank you to 4 of our school sites. We had a Williams audit for instructional materials and facilities this year at 4 of our school sites, Antelope Meadows, Barrett Ranch, Olive Grove, and Creekview Ranch. The second full week of school. So our staff and students had to be ready for people to actually come into our classrooms and count every single book in the classroom that the students should have in there. And I would love to tell you that we passed with flying colors for facilities and instructional materials. It was a lot on the teachers having be the second week of school, but they all did a great job and we appreciate it. And so tonight I would ask that we approve our resolution. All of our kids have books. Carrie does a great job keeping inventory constantly, sending books out to sites constantly as we get new students, instructional materials, science materials, all the things.
Thanks, Sarah. Any comments? I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 2025-01.
Second?
Motion by John, second by Jason. And you do the roll call again.
Trustee Pagnon,
Aye.
trustee Malcolm,
Aye.
trustee Haynes,
Aye.
President Fenske,
Aye.
trustee Walker.
And it passes, the resolution passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. On policy review, we have a first reading of, let me see what we have. We have 3 first readings, actually. Are any board members not ready to perform any action on these readings? Okay, hearing none? Would you like to make a motion to?
Go ahead, Jean.
Well, let's see.
Cliff, we should probably go policy by policy on this. Okay, let's start with policy 9.1.
I can't just wrap them all up into one nice little bow.
You know, it's okay with me. You can always do all
I'm
3
just gonna
if there's
say,
no
I'll
objection.
make a motion to approve the policies 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3.
I'll second. We have a motion by Jean, a second by John to approve all 3 policies, 9.1, 9.2, 9.3.
Just for clarification, those are items,
Yeah,
9.1,
so it's
9.2,
actually,
9.3.
it's administrative regulation 4158, 4258, 4358 is what you're,
Okay,
And 3311, right?
That's right, sorry. 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3.
did I get that? I'll just look at the other numbers, yeah. Okay.
Second?
Got a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And all the policies are approved by a vote of 5-0. Now we're going on to future agenda items. Are there any pending future agenda items that you have, any trustee would like to place on pending agenda or discuss?
Not at this time.
Any comments about anything else today? Okay, our next regularly scheduled meeting is October 2nd, 2025. Look forward to seeing you then.
Finish before 8.